In May 2022, my wife Stephanie Highsmith and I celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary with a 3-week trip to Croatia and Bosnia. It was my first overseas trip in more than 2 years, after returning from Bangladesh in February 2020, just as Asia was shutting down for COVID. I wasn't expecting to write about the trip. After all, it was a vacation, but I soon became fascinated by the region, its rich history, its tragic conflicts, its complex ethnic mix. This essay is entitled Bosnia, a Work in Progress. Perhaps Stephanie and I missed the billboard announcing we were entering a new country. After all, I was concentrating on my driving. For most of its length through the mountains of central Bosnia, the M17 is a twisting 2-lane road that follows the downstream course of the Bosna, one of the country's 3 main rivers. They're building a new multi-lane highway, but until it's done, the road crisscrosses the river, running through towns and villages where the speed limit seems to change every half-mile. The main route connecting the capital, Sarajevo, with the northern agricultural region and points west, north and east, Croatia, Hungary and Serbia, is clogged with trucks. Eventually the road descended to a wide river plain. South of Doboj, a nondescript industrial city, we noticed a change in the black-on-yellow signs with the names of villages. Travelling north from the Adriatic coast to Sarajevo, then through the mountains, the name was displayed first in the Roman alphabet, with the Cyrillic version below. Now the order was flipped, with the Cyrillic on top. It was the first sign that we were in Republika Srpska, the Serb-dominated part of the country. Soon we noticed other differences. In the mining and industrial towns of the mountains, the minarets of mosques rose almost as high as the cooling towers of coal-fired power stations. Now, in the rolling, partly forested farmland, the onion domes of Serbian Orthodox churches gleamed in the afternoon sun. On the highway to Banja Luka, the administrative capital of Republika Srpska, its tricolour flag, almost identical to that of Serbia, fluttered in the wind. To describe the current governance of Bosnia and Herzegovina as a result of messy political compromise would be a gross understatement. After the breakup of Yugoslavia, Bosnia, which is about the size of West Virginia and had a population of under 4 million, was torn apart by ethnic conflict. It was a 3-way war between Bosnian Croats, supported by Croatia, Bosnian Serbs, supported by Serbia, and Bosnian Muslims, called Bosniaks. It was not until the massacre of 8,000 Muslim men and boys at Srebrenica and TV coverage of the siege of Sarajevo horrified the world that NATO stepped in, bombed Bosnian Serb positions, and forced their leadership to the negotiating table. In pre-war Yugoslavia, the 3 communities coexisted, usually without conflict. Ethnically, they were all Slavs, although of different religious faiths. Most Serbs were Eastern Orthodox, most Croats Roman Catholic. During the 400-year rule of the Ottoman Empire, many Bosnians converted to Islam. Often it was a matter of convenience rather than conviction. If you wanted to do business in the Ottoman Empire, to trade with Istanbul or Damascus, it helped to share the religion of your customers and suppliers. During almost 4 years of war, many were driven from their homes in mixed communities, or left for their own safety. By the time negotiators sat down at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton, Ohio in November 1995, internal migration had created 2 Bosnias. The Serb-majority north and east, bordering Croatia and Serbia, became Republika Srpska. The central and southern regions, with a Bosniak majority and Croat minority, the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Each occupied about half the country's land area. The border between them, inelegantly named the Inter-Entity Boundary Line, weaves in and out for almost 700 miles. At several points, one republic juts into the other, with a short strip creating a land bridge to communities dominated by an ethnic group. The border is no longer guarded or patrolled. Some consider it like the border between two US states, where for most travellers the only noticeable differences are in gas prices or liquor laws. Such a comparison glosses over the fragility of national unity and the intense power politics that hamper Bosnia's development. Gerrymandering and political compromise created an awful lot of government. Bosnia has a central government in the capital Sarajevo, with a two-house legislature. It also has a president, or rather three of them. During a 4-year term, the chair of the presidency rotates between a Bosniak and a Croat, elected by federation voters, and a Serb elected by Republika Srpska voters. Perhaps only in Bosnia can a well-informed citizen reasonably ask, who's president this week? Ethnic compromise is represented in other ways. The currency, the convertible mark, uses both the Roman and Cyrillic alphabets, and bills feature the figureheads of both Bosniaks and Serbs. Vehicle license plates use only letters that are in both alphabets, A, E, O, J, K, M, T, and do not indicate where the vehicle is registered. Until a few years ago, the alphabet used on road signs switched between Roman to Cyrillic at the border. Today, by law, all signs must be in both alphabets, with only the change in order indicating where you are. Such well-intentioned changes are largely symbolic because the past looms large. A bloody civil war still lives in the memories of almost everyone over the age of 30. Communities that were once ethnically mixed are now dominated by one group. Two rival governments compete for power and resources. As a country, Bosnia and Herzegovina is very much a work in progress.